Yeah, Jeremy, very happy to see you.
Me too. How are you doing, Pascal?
I'm doing great. So,
What,
Jeremy, what
what
have you
have you been up
been?
to?
Do you know what? On recommence, c'est pas grave. J'étais encore sur les céréales. Bien, attention, action. Hi, Jeremy. Comment ça va,
Hey,
Jeremy? How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you doing? What have you been up to?
I've been busy. I went to a conference in Toronto. I've been busy, of course, at school. Always for the students, and I've attended also a conference for the French network of schools in North America, and
Mhm.
we talk a lot about innovation. So that was quite interesting to be able to listen to people achievements and so to share also some of the work that I've done or some of the work that we've done also together, Jeremy. So that was really interesting. And I'm getting ready for a conference. I'm attending a panel of discussion next week for International School Network (ISN) uh,
Yes, sir.
concerning evaluation, assessing with AI. And I'm quite exciting, and that's something I
Sweet,
think we'll be
sweet.
able to share probably next week to Jeremy. So
Mhm.
let's keep the suspense a bit, but very interesting finding on trying to assess with artificial intelligence. And you, Jeremy, what about you?
Um, I mean, so many things at school and beyond, but one thing that is keeping me and I'm guessing many school leaders busy right now is recruitment, which is, I mean, arguably one of the most important things that you have to do as a school leader to bring in the best possible people that you can, but that is very time or can be very time consuming. And that is what we're going to be talking about today: how we can use AI to enhance and try to be more efficient in the recruitment
Mhm.
process.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to hear what you have to share. And for the people who are watching or listening this podcast, we are not with Jeremy and I. We're not sharing in advance everything that we're going to share for the podcast. So it's always also for us a surprise. So I know that you are going to talk about recruitment. I've done a lot at Unis to support the recruitment process in my division using automation mostly to save some time. But I have not yet integrated AI, and I'm wondering if I'm going to learn something fascinating today with you, Jeremy, and maybe I will implement it after for my work. So very curious. But first, so Jeremy, what was the problem that you are facing, and why thinking about integrating AI? What are you trying to solve?
Right. And so as I said, the goal, maybe the only goal when you recruit is to try to be as effective as possible, meaning you want to find and hire the best possible teachers, faculty, and staff. At the same time, you also need to be efficient. Right. Effectiveness is sort of the absolute value of the output, but how good are the people that you can find and bring in? Efficient is the ratio of your inputs to outputs. So how much of my time, how much of my team's time do we put into this process? And oftentimes there's a little bit of a trade-off between do I want to be effective or do I want to be efficient, right? And another variable is equity. It's on every people's minds that we want to be as equitable as possible in the hiring process. And what I found using AI is it I think makes it possible to not have as much of a trade-off between effectiveness, efficiency, and equity. What I found was using AI allows you to be more efficient. By being more efficient, allows you to be more effective and also more equitable. Um, when you're more efficient, when you spend less time, when you do things faster, when you can communicate faster with your candidates, with your team, etc., you can also be more effective and you can also be more equitable. So
Mhm,
that's what I'm going to be showing you tonight.
mhm. Yeah, and that's really for me. That's really echo the work on the being able to use AI to provide feedback, because it's about being able to save some time on very specific task, but to relocate this time for what is the most critical, and the consequence of that is to have a much higher quality for what you get at the end of this process. So we're going to explain a little bit how you have like integrated AI to reach those specific goals. That's what you're going to do, Jeremy.
Right. So if you want to share my screen, so as you can see, I have a little chart here of how we approach like sort of the process for recruitment. And it might seem complicated. It's actually fairly simple. Like it's nothing too fancy or advanced here. So step one is when we receive applications, and that might be from many different channels. Like we use at my school, we use GRC, ISS. People might apply through the website. They might sometimes email me directly. Sometimes they might just email someone at school that they know, and then they forward them. So we receive applications from many different channels. So the first thing we need to do is have everything in one place, right? So the way I do that is something very simple. It's called text blaze, and as you can see, I have this template email. So I can just say here, hello Pascal, select the position that you applied for, and then it's going to prompt you to fill out a form. That form, you have it here, it's on Airtable, and it's super basic. It's just your name, email, what you apply for, your resume, and then if you have a spouse who is applying as well, right? So once you do that, that email or the form, sorry, goes into that spreadsheet, that database, where I have all the information for all the different candidates, right? And so what that allows me to do here is once I have everything in the database, I'm going to be able to have my team do some of the screening and send automated emails, right? So it's going to make the process much more efficient. For instance, when my team says we should interview someone, invite them for a screener interview, or we should not, then it is going to send a number of emails. It's going to email me, and it's going to email the candidate, either sending a nice email saying, well, thank you for your application, but we are not going to be able to move forward at this time, or it's going to email them a link that is here Reclaim. Reclaim is an app that allows them to schedule an interview, not just with me, but with people on my team. We have shared calendars, right? So if you have three different people that you need to have on that interview, that app Reclaim is going to allow the candidate to find a time that works for them and that also works for those three people that have to be on the panel, right? So as you can imagine, that makes the process much more efficient, right? I don't have to go back and forth between me and my team to check, like, have you looked at this candidate? What do you think? I don't have to go back and forth with the candidate to find a time. It's all automated, right? The AI integration is going to send those emails and do the scheduling on my behalf. And so that does two things, or a number of things. Because it's less time consuming. That means obviously I spend less of my time doing it. It also means I can really look at all the candidates in detail, right? I can really pay attention to the applications. And I can also get back to all candidates in a very timely manner. What I found, even just through personal experience, when you apply for schools, is sometimes there's like a whole month between when you apply when you hear back, and sometimes you actually never hear back. Right? With this process, we have that rule that is within 1 week we get back to every single person. So anybody who applies to ASB, we get back to them within 1 week, right? And we get back to everybody. Now, once you have this interview schedule, we have another tool which is very simple. It's this spreadsheet that we use, and it has two things. One is it has sort of all the questions that we ask to candidates, and so I don't want to show them too much, but basically you have the questions that we ask, and it's a structured interview, right? So that's to be equitable and also reliable in the decisions that we make. We ask the exact same questions, phrased the same way, in the same order to all candidates, right?
And that's the equity.
Right. We have scoring rubrics, so we know sort of what we're looking for based on our own approach to education. And we have multiple people score the candidates on the same questions based on the same rubric, again, to be equitable. And another thing that you have on that spreadsheet is AI is integrated in there, right? So in different ways. One way is it's going to take, so as we interview the candidates, we take sort of notes on our thoughts, our comments on what the candidate is saying. And the AI is going to synthesize what each person is saying and then what everybody is saying and outputs of the main strength and weaknesses of each candidate. So you can see here, for now it says like you haven't provided any notes, so I can't say anything. But if I was to say, uh, clear commitment to lifelong learning, you can see how bad of a typer I am. So clear commitment to lifelong learning, and then no clear experience in the subject. You can see so it's doing right now. So it's going to obviously right now that's very very short. But
Mhm.
if I had comments for my 12 questions and there were like four of us on the panel, it's going to synthesize all of these as a basis for discussion.
And it follows a specific prompt. So you ask the AI to create the synthesis by separating the strands and the elements that may be weak in the application. So it follows
Exactly.
exactly the template that you have provided.
Exactly. So it has access to the questions, it has access to the scoring criteria, it has access to my comments, it has a prompt that outlines the kind of synthesis that I want.
Mhm, mhm,
So I have that synthesis. I also have the transcript, the full transcript of every single interview. Now, obviously, we ask candidates ahead of time, are you okay with us recording the interview and then
mhm,
transcribing it and then sharing the transcript? Um, I can show you an example of what that looks like. That's actually not an interview because I wouldn't share that. That's a call I had this morning with an edtech provider. So it creates notes for you on the meeting. Here it's an interview. You can look at not only the summary but also the actual excerpts from the transcript.
mhm,
And here you can chat with the transcript, so with the full conversation, right?
mhm.
So
So this
that what
application is Granola.
it's called Granola.
Um, one thing is very interesting also with this application is compared to other meeting of this kind of tool that can create transcripts and summary is Granola allow you also during the interview to take some notes that
Exactly.
can that can be added to the synthesis at the end. It's a very interesting tool. Yeah.
Right. And I actually only used the free version. I haven't had to upgrade to the paid version yet, although I've been using it for every single interview and for actually many in-person meetings as well. Um, the free tier is sort of generous enough that I haven't had to pay for it yet.
Mhm,
And so, importantly, both the transcript and the synthesis, they're only a data point and they're only a basis for reflection and conversation with my team, right? So we would never just look at the synthesis of the AI and say, okay, so yes or no for this candidate, right? Or we would never just fully rely on the transcript. What it does is, instead of us spending a lot of time trying to summarize everything we thought, it gives us a summary, and then we can look at it. We review the bullet points of the strength, the bullet point of the weaknesses, and we discuss that discussion involving maybe disagreeing with the AI. So I might say, it seems like this is a weakness. So I might say, well, no, actually, I noticed something completely different, right? So we might disagree with the AI. It's just a nice starting point for our debriefs.
mhm. Yeah, I believe this is everything. I think we've say, Jeremy. It's a collaboration, and it need to be seen like that. And we are the one who need to control this collaboration. And I think that's the way to use it. And we see also when we talk about evaluation, etc., that it's so critical that we are the one who make the final decision in anything that we could do with artificial intelligence. How do you make sure that so I can see that you can review if it's if there is some disagreement, but have you seen in the use that you have sometimes some um, way that the AI would have like from the transcript create a synthesis that was not aligned at all with the reality? Did that happen to you, and why it would have happened?
So I haven't noticed it, uh, but it's also although we have many candidates, it's still a very small sample. It could certainly happen, right? Like some studies have shown that Whisper, for instance, which is one of the speech to text OpenAI models, is not 100% reliable. When you interview candidates, such as myself, who have an accent, sometimes the AI, if it's been trained mostly on like um, sort of a particular accent, like American accent or British accent, it might misconstrue or misunderstand some speakers. So one thing that I do is I actually get two transcripts. So I use Granola, and because we use Google Meet, we also have the transcript of Google Meet. The nice thing here is they use different AI models to do the transcription. So the probability that they would both make the same mistake on the same paragraph is it's very unlikely, right? So when I compare both transcripts, if they align in what they say, then that is likely accurate. So what that does is, in the past, if I was to try to remember, okay, which of my candidates seem to be the best at building relationships with the kids, I would have to rely on my memory or on the few notes that I took. Now, my notes are not that detailed, unfortunately, and my memory, just like any human being, is very biased, right? When we remember things, we tend to reconstruct memories, and that might come with a whole number of different biases. So it's not highly reliable. If I can go back to the transcript and to two different transcripts and ask specific quotes, if they return the same quotes, then likely that is a reliable data point.
Mhm. Yeah. In the process that we share, I can really see for me two very important points where we can really be more efficient, save a great amount of time. So we talk here about the AI who can create all these synthesis and make it better in some ways because you get some information in some ways that we're not able to do with all the interview that we have, trying to be able to sort, organize the information that we have in a conversation and be able to separate it between the element that seems to be really supporting the strengths for a candidate and the weaknesses, or the element that maybe will not necessarily align with our expectation. This takes a lot of time. The other element that we should not underestimate is the automation with the emails. This is the part, for example, in I've designed a system last year to support our colleague who participate in job fair. And in job fair, what happened is we spent a lot of time collecting information, sending emails to candidates to invite them to an interview, organize the interview that we're going to have after meeting like 100 people, the 20 people that we have selected, etc. There is such a great amount of time that we spend on this. And by creating this kind of automation with emails, with being able, like reclaim to book appointment, the time that my colleagues spent at the fair was focusing 90% of it focusing on getting to know the people. And I think this is what I see here with the automation of email. And you can gain so much time to get to know the candidate better. And in some ways, as we were saying before, if you want to be equitable, you need to know people better in order to make the choice that will be really fair, and the time that you need to spend to recognize their quality. So I think that's really the two entry point here that I think I really encourage all the school leader to really be able to look and work with their IT team on how can I save this very valuable time so I can get to know the candidate better. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's it's really remarkable.
it's a great point, and it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. So when you are interviewing someone, there's a bit of a trade-off where if you are paying full attention to them, then you're not taking notes of what they're saying. and it might be hard to then remember correctly and compare different candidates. If you are taking notes, then first of all, it's a bit awkward, where it doesn't make for a great back and forth if you're sort of typing away as they're talking to you. It's not a very naturally flowing conversation. And it's also hard to pay attention to the next sentence when you're taking notes on what they said the previous sentence, right?
Mhm.
The transcription allows me to be fully present, really pay attention to everything the candidate is saying, and the body language and everything they are expressing, etc. Not being distracted by the notes that I'm taking, but having notes taken for me by the AI in a way that is not, maybe not fully reliable, but still more reliable than me taking notes, like not extensive notes, and relying on my memory.
Yeah, no, it's very good. So, Jeremy, what's next for you on this process here? Because it can always grow and evolve.
Right. And so what is next is trying to combine all those automations in a process that is a little bit more sort of self-sustaining. Like as you can see right now, we have many different apps, and they're connected in. It's a little bit, it's not fully integrated, right? You have different steps, different apps. The goal is to have one integrated process, and we're already working towards that. So, for instance, one improvement that I'm working on is, as many international schools, we oftentimes have candidates who apply and they also have a spouse who they might need a position as well in the school, right? So maybe I have a math teacher and they have a spouse who's a PE teacher, and or they need both positions and maybe in different divisions. So what that does is we need great communication within the school, within our different divisions. But oftentimes we have our own recruitment processes and teams, right? I'm doing the recruitment for middle school, someone else is doing the recruitment for elementary school, and those are not really integrated. In the past, that would have taken many back and forth to exchange the emails. I would have said, I have this math candidate, I really like them. They have this pass as a PE teacher. I would have sent their email. They would have been back and forth. It would have been like very time consuming. With my Airtable database right now, with the form, the candidate is going to indicate if they have a spouse and upload their CV. So when I change the drop down menu and I say I want to interview that person, it's going to automatically send an email to the elementary school principal with the CV attached of the spouse saying middle school is interested in this candidate. They have this spouse with this CV. Do you have a position? If so, are you interested in this CV as well? If not, it's going to send me an email and say, don't go forward because we don't have a position for both of them.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. No, it's very interesting, Jeremy. And when you because I've designed also over the years also those type of system that can create those automation. When I hear you, I can see how you can do that, and I feel that when you start to create those automation, you can see that any scenario, any process that you may have that really belongs to you, that is very specific to you, we can do it. This weekend, I was talking when I was in Toronto. I was talking to an entrepreneur was asking me asking some question about one of the design I've done. And he was telling me, is it something that you can take and you can just like give to another school? And I said, that's the whole point of what I do. What I do work for my school, work for my teachers, work for my process. What you describe here, Jeremy, I cannot take it as it is and put it in my school. But because the strength is not on how it can be applied to anyone. Because when it can apply to anyone, that means you need to lower the expectation. The strength of what you're doing, it applies exactly to your specificity. And when you can start to use this technology and you have the right support in the IT department who can really see your process, help you to maybe streamline your process and transform it into a technical solution, it's extremely powerful. And I can see how what you're doing here can continue to evolve and save you more time, so you can spend more time on the white box here, Voilà, the team screening, the interviews, and the decision. This is where you want to spend your time. Yeah, very interesting. Thank you, Jeremy. Really
Right.
appreciate.
And in this particular case, those are all free apps, or at least the apps that I use only have, or you would only need the free functionalities essentially.
Yeah, no, very good, Jeremy. Anything to add?
Um, what are you working on AI wise?
What I'm working on?
Uh huh.
Yeah, no, I've been focusing some time on the. So now is something I'm doing super interesting with my colleague in the junior school. There is a lot of possibilities for students in middle school and high school to use artificial intelligence, and there is some very interesting program, so curriculum that you can implement that look at AI beyond, again, beyond the question of generating some language, but the AI to be able to analyze data, etc. And what we're looking at in the junior school is, but so what does it mean for an elementary school student? And we're thinking about AI camp that we can offer during the summer to our students. And in this AI camp, we're looking at really two different directions. Like, for example, being able to code with AI, to create a game with AI. So this kind of like code a camp, coding camp that exists for many, many years. But this one integrating AI, because the power of using AI in coding also is quite remarkable. But we're looking at also something that we don't necessarily look into in all those programs for middle school, high school. We're looking at a bit of biology. We're looking at what does it mean to be alive, and to try to explore this concept of being alive with our students, so they can learn and understand to differentiate something that can communicate, give the impression to understand, give the impression to talk to us or talk to us, and with a form of living. Because I think that's what is going to be very critical for our youngest one, to be able to differentiate the form of living and this technology that can do something that no technology before was able to do. So super exciting to work on that. Maybe I say too much because it's really something that is in the pipe on which we're working with my colleague Francesca. But I'm very excited to be able to look into that because I think it can have a really important impact on our students. And we will be happy to share what we will do because I think the idea in this is we all work together so we can make the best decision for our students collectively. Uh,
AI can't wait to hear more about that.
yeah, yeah. We will at some point, Jeremy. Bien, thank you very much, Jeremy. So next week, assessing with AI. Let's explore this question, and really, I encourage everyone to stay tuned because it's going to be, I think, very interesting for those who are really afraid to do something about it, or for those who may be too exciting to do something
Mhm.
about it. Voilà. Bien, thank you, Jérémy. À bientôt.
Thank you, Pascal. Salut.